Hello, this is Lance Cleveland, author of the Store Locator Plus plugin for WordPress. I'm going to go over a new feature in Store Locator Plus 4.3.20. That is the Google Geocoding Fallback. So if you've watched some of the other videos, you'll know that whenever this map first loads on the page for Store Locator Plus, what it does is it will actually send the center map address or the country that you have selected as your default country over to Google for geocoding. So what's been happening is in the past few weeks, the Google geocoding services, either they're overloaded or Google's just tweaking back their service for third-party providers, whatever's going on, it's causing issues where Google geocoding will not give an answer back to the map page. And by terms of service, we're not allowed to not query Google for an address whenever we're interfacing with their maps. So what will happen is when I bring up a map page like this, this locator will send Google the center map address. And Google will come back in real time and give us a latitude and longitude, and that is what it uses to start the search, and that's where it will center the map. So in my case here, it's finding the latitude and longitude for United States, and then it's finding all locations within so many miles of that address. Prior to version 4.3.20, what would happen is occasionally, and as I said, it happens more frequently now, Google will just say, sorry, I'm not talking to you right now. And they come back with a no results message. In that case, what would happen is the past version of the product up until 4.3.20 would just set the latitude and longitude to 00, which puts you right around here off the coast of Africa. For a lot of people, that means no locations come up. That was a quick fix to just get around the issue of Google being stuck, not answering us, and us having no data to go on to do our searches. In 4.3.20, you can now specify the latitude and longitude fallback. So what this does is only if the functionality of your map is not working during the initial page load, and we query Google and say, hey, give me the latitude and longitude for the center of my map, it will come back and use this latitude and longitude here. This is also used if sometimes people type in a zip code, for example, and hit find locations. Follows the same process. It's going to ask Google where 29464 is in this particular case. Sometimes Google, offline, doesn't give you an answer. So now, rather than just set you at 00 off the coast of Africa, it's going to place you at whatever the latitude and longitude is here. So it gives you a little bit more control over the fallback when Google fails. So that's what these new settings do here. Now to talk about these specific settings and how they work. By default, Store Locator Plus starts off with the default map domain of the United States. It'll center your map here, and then it will calculate it'll ask Google what the latitude and longitude is for the center of the United States, and it sets these two values. Once these items are set, they will stay that way unless you change them by hand. There's a couple other options to help automate that because a lot of people are not going to know latitudes and longitudes. So the first thing, you want to change your map domain. Let's say we're in Australia. When you change your map domain, it's probably going to be a good idea to not center your map in the United States, assuming you don't have a lot of locations in the United States you want to show, and take out the latitude and longitude fallback. Those are all going to be US defaults. Once you do that and hit Save Settings, Store Locator Plus is going to load this Australia location. It's going to set Australia as the center of the map, and then it's going to ask Google for the latitude and longitude and fill those in here. If Google's still offline when this happens during this particular save process, these will be blank. So you may have to try again a few times or go to another service, look up the latitude and longitude that you want and just manually type them in here. So that's one way to automatically set it, is to change your country. You can also decide that you want to do something a little more specific. In this case, I want to center it on my hometown of Mount Pleasant in South Carolina. So I can type the address in here and delete the latitude and longitude. And when I save this, it's going to save my map domain back to United States. Most of you will already have this set to that. It's going to take this address, send it to Google, and then put the latitude and longitude in here for me and save that. So from this point forward, that latitude and longitude is what's going to be used whenever Google goes offline for the real-time user experience. That's when it helps out. That is during the initial page load, when this page first comes up. If Google's offline, or if someone types in an address, it will, no matter what address I put in Pasadena address here, it is, if Google's offline, instead of zooming me over to Pasadena here, it will put me at this latitude and longitude. So that's how that system works. That's what these new two settings are for. This is purely to help out whenever Google decides they're not talking to people. In recent testing, I'm finding that to be happening. After I do a number of location imports and run my test process, it's probably happening 25 or 30% of the time, which is unusually high. I have not seen that Google Geocoder response fail more than once or twice in over 3 years of using the product. I've been seeing it several times a day, if not more, in the past few weeks. So hopefully that helps provide a better user experience with Store Locator Plus 4.3.20 and helps us kind of get around some of the Google limitations that we're running into these days. Thank you for your support.